is not in the best of health. After achieving almost 4 million votes in the 2015 election, the party started unravelling at the seams, especially after its successes in the Brexit referendum. And with no plans to rebuild the party and focus on a new direction post-Brexit, along with a series of disastrous leadership elections and resignations, the party suddenly found itself aimless. It had no purpose and certainly nobody charismatic enough to replace Nigel Farage. But in 2017, Paul Nuttall did his very best Farage impression in the Stoke by-election, wearing all tweed and a flat cap, attempting to win over traditionally working-class Labour and BNP voters, and it failed. In an easily winnable election, they came second. They came second to a man with the name Gareth Snell. Yeah, he's as miserable, pointless and uninspiring as he sounds. And then when the 2017 general election came, things just got worse. UKIP went from 4 million votes to just under 600k. I mean, that's about the same as the BNP in 2010. It's quite a sizable chunk, but nothing compared to their former successes. And in fact, the local council elections held on the same day better indicated UKIP's plight. They lost nearly every single council seat they were defending. And why? Well, I suspect it's a combination of a few things. First of all, obviously, Brexit was a done deal in the eyes of the voters. Maybe it isn't now, especially given Theresa May's backtracking on a lot of promises, but at least it was last year. People voted Tory to ensure Brexit, and UKIP's job was just seen as done. But I also think it comes down to UKIP's inability to appeal to the working class outside of the European Union issue. When the BNP collapsed after 2010, a party with racist roots, but which attracted a lot of working class voters concerned about immigration, there was a huge gap in the market for UKIP to sweep up all those voters, and plenty of working class non-voters too, with a non-racist alternative, but they didn't. UKIP has simply been too shaky on the NHS, a big sticking point, and often seen as a second Conservative party that's just interested in protecting business. Now, true or not, I believe that's how it's perceived by a great deal of working class voters across the country. And by avoiding issues like Islamisation, which resulted in UKIP leadership calling Anne-Marie Waters and her supporters racists and Nazis, they lost the opportunity to build a new voter base from those who are worried about Islamisation, multiculturalism and immigration. It's a lot of people. And now it's not just PR issues and lack of voter appeal that's going to take the party down, it seems. It's a court case, and it looks like it could send the party into bankruptcy. UKIP MEP Jane Collins, who was dead set against seeing the party become counter-jihad in the 2017 leadership election, is lumping the party with a legal bill of 175k for the part it played in the libel action that involved 3 Labour MPs before the 2015 election. She claimed in a speech that Labour MPs John Healey, Kevin Barry and Sarah Champion ignored child abuse in Rotherham. The court case itself is appalling. Collins has to pay 600k in costs and damages for saying something that voters have actually been just saying for years. Labour MPs said nothing about what was going on in Rotherham, and it was hardly a secret. Their constituents knew what was happening. But regardless, 3 MPs won the case somehow, and until now it was uncertain whether Collins would be required to pay the full costs or if UKIP would be responsible for any of it. And with the judge setting costs at 175k for the party, UKIP now has 2 weeks to find the money. That might not have been a problem 2 or 3 years ago, but after the disastrous election of Henry Bolton, who was recently ousted as leader following his relationship with a woman who made racist slurs, UKIP isn't exactly flush. Not only did they have to fork out for the election to replace Paul Nuttall, which took many months and required the hiring of a huge venue and many staff, but they also had to pay for an extraordinary general meeting to confirm the sacking of Bolton. And now they have to pay for a new election to replace interim leader Gerard Batten, and somehow they have to do that with plummeting donations. According to the Electoral Commission, in the last quarter of 2017, UKIP received around 203k in reported donations. Now that really isn't much for a party with such huge expenses. The party simply doesn't have the money to pay the bills, and interim party leader Gerard Batten admitted as much during a meeting in Essex when he said that the party needs to raise 100k before the end of March or risk going bust. And who knows back then if he was even taking into account the expected 175k legal costs. This poses 2 big problems for UKIP. First of all, there's the obvious issue of bankruptcy. If they can't pay, they will be forced to go bankrupt. But nominations for candidates to stand in local elections close on the 6th of April. That's not far away. Not only might the party struggle to pay for candidates to even stand and campaign, perhaps they'll be paying for themselves or something, but the law isn't particularly clear on whether parties that are on the brink of insolvency can even put candidates forward. There's been an exodus of UKIP members of the European Parliament and councillors over the last couple of years. The party lost almost all its defended seats in 2017, and now they may not be able to even put forward candidates in the upcoming council elections. And if they do, well, who knows if they'll even successfully defend one seat. Without a clear direction, the party is going to struggle to have any electoral impact. And if the polls are anything to go by, the voters aren't seeing a clear direction for the party, or much reason to vote for them. The party is struggling to achieve much more than 3% in national polls. That's disastrous for such a former titan of British politics. If UKIP want to turn this around, they'll need a clearer direction. They'll need to appeal to working class voters with honest policies about the issues that affect their communities. This includes multiculturalism, extremism in Islam, grooming and immigration. Without that, they've lost their base. But even with a clearer direction, it looks like finances could trigger the collapse of one of the most successful political parties in Britain, and with it, create the biggest rise and fall of a...
We will make America great again.